All right, well, people all over the country, all the teams are missing half their locker room. It seems like right now it's a wild thing. This transfer portal. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it, or maybe I do. I know exactly what to think about it. Sit tight.
Anybody? Help!
Yeah, next week's gonna suck for him. But other than that, yeah.
What is happening? Welcome into the Gravity Design Lab studio. Let's get into the show. All right, we're back. Just like some of the guys in the portal. But we're not going to hit it. Not yet, anyway. We'll see. Austin, how's it going, man?
It's going, man. We're in it now. We're in portal season.
Man, we're in the thick of it. Guys are starting to commit, come out. You know, there's all kinds of stuff happening. What is happening? Can you tell us what's going on?
Yeah, so I figure we'll kind of hit the quick ones first, and then kind of get into what's going on as far as like guys actually coming in. So we had since last time we've had a couple people announce they're staying. We've even had a couple people announce they're going and coming back. So we're kind of light as far as guys that have truly announced that they're staying, but we're recording Thursday right now, so this time of year you never know how fast things can change. But Talon has announced he is coming back. Braylon kind of put his toe in the water and thought he would test it out, but then he decided he was going to come right back. So we've got him back, Carmona back, and then we've got Sori in the linebacker room, and then Dix has decided he's coming back. So Steven Dix, he was the guy that kind of took over the starting role towards the end of the year, played really well, and then Cam Ball, and that's pretty much all of your starters that have announced that they're coming back. And then one that Brian talked about that we were real upset over losing, but he announced he's coming back today, Selman Bridges. That's a guy that didn't really necessarily make a big impact this year, but I think he's a guy in the future that I'm glad he decided he's coming back. I think he could be a guy that plays next year, and then he turns into a legit guy that could possibly be an NFL guy a couple years down the road. So I know you.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about him. That's I sat by. I think I've told this story on here before, but I sat by his family at the spring game, and they were awesome. And so being by them gave me like a little like extra edge to watch him specifically, and not the team overall. And he was out there working, man. He still was trying to like catch up with some of the like college speed and some of that stuff, but he has a lot of speed and he has a lot of potential, and he works hard. And so when he hit the portal, I was a little upset about that one. That one stung a little bit, not because he was a starter, but because of all that potential that you're talking about. I mean, he's the real deal. Has a lot of potential.
Yeah, he's long. He's got the speed, and I think he could be a guy like we look in a couple years, and he could be your true. He could be a guy that falls around the other guy. The other team's dude, and he could be your shutdown corner a couple years down the road. So I'm glad he decided to come back. That's about it as far as the returners go. So I think anybody that's followed the program at all is kind of wondering like what's going on, because we've had so many guys leaving. I think I saw a stat where on our two deep, so that's you get 11 guys on both sides of the ball. You double that's 44. I think we've had 25 guys leave on our two deep. That's at all. I mean, you're losing half your team there.
That's staggering.
At all. Yeah,
that's what that is.
That's pretty rough. So, that's a lot of guys leaving, and a lot of guys you don't really want to go. So, we talked about last time the Metcalf brothers. didn't really think those were guys you would be losing. We lost Brad Spence. He entered the portal. That's a linebacker that you'd like to keep. He's a good one. We lost Addison Nichols. I didn't think we'd lose that guy. That's your starting center. I mean, he went from a backup on one team, comes here, starts, has a solid year, and now he's leaving. That's tough.
That's real tough. And then you think about back to the offensive line video that I made before the season started. Your three key leaders were Addison Nichols, Joshua Braun, and Patrick Kudus, and they've all hit the portal now. That's tough. That's a lot of your. Now, was the line fantastic this year? Maybe not, but you didn't have Kudus for most of the year. You had Addison, who was getting used to the snapping of the cadence and all that with Traylon, and then I didn't see Braun leaving, but it is what it is. We do have a commit from the portal, so the portal taketh away, the portal giveth also. So we had how do you say that name? McCroy, but
I think it's Jaquan, isn't it? Or
yeah, Jaquan. That sounds right.
They call him Shaq. It's Shaq McCoy.
Shaq. Perfect. Shaq McCoy coming in. I mean, he's listed at 6'8", 365 pounds. So he's a big boy. Like, that's kind of, I'm wondering if they looked at the line and they were like, hey, we need some more beef down there. I mean, that's as good as those guys were. And, I hope they all pull out of the portal and they say, you know what? No, we want to stay at Arkansas. But that's a big boy coming in.
Yeah, I'm super excited about him. So we were on him hard last year. He is like borderline top 100 guy. I think the only thing that kept him from really being right around a consensus top 100 is one of the recruiting services. I think it might have been 24/7. They had him as a 3-star. Every other service had him like right there at about 100 and like high 4-star guy. He's highly recruited guy that decided to go to Oregon. Crazy enough, and we haven't talked about this a lot because we've been mainly focusing on this year. Cody Kennedy, as much as a train wreck as that guy was, and I'm just kind of hitting on some of the side here. I like Eric Mateos a lot better than him. I think he's way better. I'm glad that guy left. But the one thing that he did have was a connection with McCroy. And I think if we kept Kennedy, he probably would have come to Arkansas last year. And it still even went down to the wire between him choosing us and Oregon. So this is where you don't want to burn bridges. You stay in contact with these guys. You send them happy birthday text. You don't want to make sure that you're not losing anything, because this is what can happen. You can make a good relationship with them. They turn around, they don't like the situation they're at. He didn't play a snap at Oregon this year, which, they're number one team. They're super good. It's tough to break onto that as a freshman. But he decided he wanted to do something different. I think he entered the portal knowing he really liked Arkansas last year. He went on a visit today, and he committed before he even left. So that says a lot. And it's help that we need. I mean, I could see him, depending on how the line sits right now, he's a starter. I mean, depending on what else we have come in, that may change, but he's a guy that could legitimately turn into an NFL guy a couple years down the road. He may not start next year, but he is absolutely 100% a guy that you think should start at least 2 years from now, and he is a draft pick, 3 years from now. So I'm super excited. When I saw him enter, I was pumped, and he was one of the ones I really hoped we would get, and we got him early, so it's a huge get.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And figuratively. huge deal.
I'm glad that. I'm
Yes,
glad that. I'm
he's
glad
huge.
that. I'm glad that.
It's, I mean, that's awesome.
I'm glad
we
that.
have some other
I'm
guys
glad that.
visiting
I'm
right now
glad that.
too.
I'm
I think
glad
we have
that.
some
I'm glad that.
receivers,
I'm glad that. I'm glad that.
some
I'm glad that.
DBs. We
I'm
have some
glad that.
different
I'm
people
glad
that
that.
are
I'm glad
coming
that. I'm
through
glad that. I'm
and
glad that. I'm
seriously
glad
looking
that.
at the
I'm glad
Hogs.
that.
I mean,
I'm glad that. I'm glad
that's
that.
pretty huge to
I'm glad that.
have
I'm glad that. I'm glad that.
that activity.
I'm glad that.
Yeah. So without going into like crazy names, because most people aren't going to recognize it, and honestly, I have a hard time keeping up with all of it. They've got a couple slot receivers visiting. We just have one guy that was at Missouri State formerly with Bobby Petrino, and then he went to Fresno State last year. He entered. He's a slot guy. He's kind of a smaller guy. He just left on his visit. Seems like it's gone well. We're competing with North Texas and Tulane with him. Sharp is his last name. We got another guy from North Texas, that another slot guy. So they're obviously looking at a Satanga replacement. He's coming in on a visit this weekend. They've got a couple bigger body receivers, not necessarily like the 6'7" guys, but closer to like your 6'3", from Purdue and like Miami of Ohio. So this is not us like trying to get recruits from Oregon and Ohio State, or, people like that are entering the portal. But Andrew Armstrong didn't come from, Louisiana Tech or Texas or something like that. He came from a D2 school. So you don't always have to have a huge name to get to come in and lead the SEC in receptions, lead the SEC in receiving yards. Most of the time, your higher level guys are going to be better fits. But one thing that I've noticed and that I like are they're either going for
Andrew Arms,
older experienced guys that may be from a smaller school that are kind of proven and with a track record, or they are going for the higher recruits that come from big school, but they tend to be younger guys. And honestly, I think that's pretty smart. Because you can get those kids that redshirted this last year, they didn't like the situation they were in, and you can get them in and kind of promise them playing time, because, in the John Calipari mantra, we don't have a team right now. There's a lot of guys that are graduating and a lot of guys that have entered, so you can really sell on playing time at the moment. And that's not to mean that they come in and get guaranteed an instant spot, but there's plenty of time to go around. So we got a tight end from Texas A&M, borderline top 100. We know we need a tight end. They've got some more. They've got an offensive tackle from Georgia Tech that's coming in. He's a really highly rated guy, really good pass blocker. So they're hitting on some key areas, and we got to get them in. We got to get them committed, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. I'll just say that. So
yeah, it doesn't seem bleak like it did yesterday. It's felt like the world was kind of coming down around us with this team, and everybody was saying that's why we need somebody else. That's why, whatever, insert comment. And I mean, that's I can see that. Let's trust he's right there. It's running thin. But I think that's also why we didn't see a extension or something like that you might have seen. Oh, you made a bowl game. Here's an extension. Like you're progressing. But, I mean, we're going into year 6 now, so it's time to really proofs in the pudding year for everybody. I mean, we got to get it going now. And I think there's some pieces that are, if we can land them, like you said, I think they're out there. We just got to make sure we get to that point. That's I don't mind getting that receiver out of Fresno State, receiver out of D2, like insert whatever, because that's a position that's like, okay, you got speed and you can catch the ball, or you have a skill and you can catch the ball. That's great. Where I do want to see us get some of these big guys from Oregon and some of those places like that are literally the big guys. I want to see our trenches just huge, because that's last time that we were with Bielema, when we were starting to kind of feel good about our line play, like really good. They were huge. I mean, they were so big, you put them on the cover of the magazine. Like that's that's where I want to see those big guys come from, are the big schools. Now the skill positions, we've seen that anybody can really take that over. We saw at Vandy with the New Mexico State quarterback transfer this year. He did great, and I mean they're a small school, decent but small. So I mean we'll see where they land.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've both been pretty vocal. Just to hit on one other thing about, I think I would have rather, and I think you agree with this. I think I would have rather had Pittman go, because I mean Bill Belichick just got hired to North Carolina. There is not much competition as far as grabbing coaches right now in this coaching search. It could be more next year, because there is not very often that no SEC job comes open. So I think that could have been a huge advantage for us. And that's how I would have liked to have gone. But I mean, I don't have any money to make that sway, and I don't have any pull for it either. So the way I look at it is, I mean, this is how it played out. So we need to push forward and see how it goes. And so it's not the decision I would have made, but it's the decision that was made. So now we got to carry on and see how this goes. It's a tough schedule. It came out. I mean, they got to have a heck of a portal class to pull this off. But, I mean, me just being the true fan that I am, I mean, I want them to pull it off. I would rather see them go off in the sunset than crash and burn. Plus, it just sets up better for the next coach. So if this is how it's going, I'm going to be pulling for us to land every single guy that we can in the portal. And some of the stuff that Sam said today, I think I 100% agree with him. I mean, just kind of hit on a few things, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he was basically saying that guys were coming in, they were asking for too much money, basically. And he's like, man, we got to fill out a whole team. He's learned from the past, and he said something along this line of where in years past we paid too much money to keep the guys we have on roster, and we haven't had enough to bring in the guys we need. And I think what he specifically means is the last 2 years, that's kind of how it's went. You've lost some big guys, but then you had to pay so much money to keep everybody else on the team. And he kind of said towards the end there that if a guy entered the portal the right way, and I appreciate this, because if he came in, told them like, hey, we can't, I know you can't give me this type of money, I'm going to go see what my options are. They shake hands like gentlemen and go. And if they go out and they don't get the kind of money that they thought they were going to, or if they don't get the role they thought they were and they want to come back, he said they'd come back. We saw that literally today with Bridges. I think that's exactly what happened. I think he was going to go out there and think he was either going to get a guaranteed spot or he was going to get more money. He realized he wasn't, and he came back. And I'm cool with that. I think that's all right. You want to see your options? There's some guys that probably didn't handle it that way, and they won't be back. I don't have any knowledge on who that'll be, but
I think that's how the transfer portal was intended, was that, hey, this guy didn't get much playing time, or in this case, I mean, they burned his red shirt on special teams, and not like a useful special teams. So I say useful, you know what I mean? But it's I put a guy in there that wants to be a contributor and wants to play. Let me go out there and see what kind of interest I can drum up, because I feel like his was for playing time. I mean, there's no way that it wasn't, because he wasn't like a star. You see that with the star seasons, and then it's like, oh, let me go try to get some money sometimes. But I'd say a lot of times. But he was looking for playing time, I feel like, and I don't know that for sure. I don't know him personally or anything, but that's just the feeling I got. And so it was probably, hey, we'll give you the same situation that you have here, same potential that you have at Arkansas. Come on over. I'll just ride with Arkansas because they were my team. I feel like that's kind of the nature of what the transfer portal is supposed to be. It's not always that way, though. And more often than not, you hear about the side that is, oh, he left, he got $1 million, or hey, let's go get $1 million QB out of the portal. That's just not realistic. I mean, it's not what it's meant for. And people are using it. It's like getting tax breaks. It's there, use it, but something needs to change with the way it's all laid out. I put a tweet out earlier about it doesn't seem that hard. Make a contract that if you leave early out of the contract, you have to sign it for a 2 or 3 year period. Then you can become the free agent. But if you leave outside of that, outside of like extreme situations, then you have to pay a buyout. Just like if a coach left for another job, that school would have to pay the buyout for the coach or some form of it. And if you get asked to leave, flip side of that, you get your own buyout. I mean, it can't be major, obviously, but you get some money to move. You know, I mean, that's it doesn't seem that hard to fix. I don't know why they're making it so hard. There's too many chefs in the kitchen probably, but I don't know. That just seems like the way that it is the purest form of it, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I agree. We've talked about this, but I look at a guy like Landon Jackson that was probably going to be a rotational guy at LSU. He came here, became a star. Drew Sanders wasn't hardly going to see the field at Alabama. He came here, had an incredible year in the NFL. Andrew Armstrong, he was a D2 guy that comes in, leads the SEC in receiving yards and in receptions. That's the really nice side of it. Then you get the guys, like you said, that their agents are telling them, like, hey, you're only making $400,000 here. I got a school saying that you can make $800,000 here. Tell your coach to give you a raise, or let's hop in the portal and do this thing. That's the side that's killing it right now. I mean, it's a bummer, man. And I say that coming from, anybody that's watching this or, us talking, I mean, we're obviously not at Ohio State where they're just dishing out millions, or Texas or one of those guys, and it doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But man, also we're in a lot better situation than probably 60 to 70% of the colleges in America. So I mean, I can just imagine, some of those places. Like, it's tough, man. And I love college football. I watched just as much as I did a handful of years ago, but I still think about that stuff, man. It's tough. I agree. It's taken away from it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's tough. The sport in general has changed so much over the past decade.
It's tough.
That it's not the same. It's still exciting. It's still fun.
It's tough.
For now,
it's tough.
But it's the more that you have a new team every year, it's going to get harder and harder to really love the players outside of
It's tough.
Yeah. On that note, we're going to have a new team next year. But
we're going to have a new team in a few weeks when we play Texas Tech.
It's tough.
Yeah.
We're going to see guys we haven't seen ever. So it's going to be
tough.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. I'll say this last thing before we kind of wrap it up, but I'm kind of the sentiment now. We got the one commitment. I really don't see many more guys leaving. Sam said in his press conference, like, I know that it's hard right now. Give me about a week and a half, and then we'll see where we're at then. And so we got our first commitment today. Super exciting. I think we'll get a few more over the weekend. And then, guys are still jumping in. Stuff is still happening. And then, there'll be even more that rolls around after the playoffs and everything. And you never know what can hold in the spring. But he said they're probably going to take like 20 to 23 guys. So, I mean, that's a whole high school signing class. So, I mean, we're going to we got one down. You might as well say we got at least 19 to go. So, we'll see how the rest of these guys pan out. They're in pretty good shape. I think they got a solid chance of putting together a good recruiting class or portal class, and that's what they need to do. So I'm excited to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, me too. I think, I'm ready to print a roster like I did this year. I'll print another one next year, the spring game. I'll try to start putting faces to names. used to it in basketball. Football is a little different because there's so many people, but with everybody changing teams and jumping teams and leaving and coming, we want you guys to join our team. Drop a subscribe. We really appreciate you being here. You hung around this long. You at least liked listening to the content. You may not have enjoyed looking at us, but you listened, you stayed. You got to see this awesome hat that my boys over at the Mob Shop over on TikTok made me. They're awesome. Go check out their stuff. I'll put their info in a link in the description somewhere. But it's not a paid promotion or anything. I just really like these hats. I think they turned out pretty awesome. It's
Yeah, I was gonna say, where'd you get that nice hat? I like looking at that hat.
yeah, man. I need to. They need to get some business. Go over. They're probably live on TikTok. They're live all the time. It seems like. Go jump over there. Tell them Big Papa sent you. I'd appreciate that because maybe they could sponsor. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, appreciate y'all being here. As always, y'all stay blessed, stay passionate. Tell somebody you love them. Let's go Hogs. Let's get some more hogs in here. Hog hunting season.